Bhutatma Paramatma Cha Muktanam Paramagatihi Avyayah Purushah Sakshi Kshetrajño Kshara Eva Cha. Bhutatma, he is the embodiment of purity. This nama refers to his nirguna aspect. Purity is the stage where gunas or impressions and illusions are completely absent. The Brahman alone can be the embodiment of purity. All humans will have some traces of impurities, and there is nothing for you to feel bad or guilty about it. But when one is able to transcend all the impurities, he becomes one with the Brahman. Though this kind of explanation may sound like a dualistic approach, in order to explain the preeminence of the Brahman, such explanations become essential. Someone asked the great sage Ramana, what is the truth of scriptural texts which speak of oneself, seeing the self and seeing God? Ramana replied, since oneself is one, how can oneself see oneself? If one's self cannot be seen, how can God be seen? Getting absorbed is seeing. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Kevalo Nirgunascha, which means he alone is without gunas. Brahman cannot be explained as he is beyond any explanation. Though he is present in all beings as soul, he is not affected by the actions of the embodiments of the soul, and he continues to remain as pure as ever. He is beyond time and space. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 9, Nacha mantani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya uddhasina vadhasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Actions do not bind me. Unattached I am to such actions and standing apart, as it were. Paramatma, he is addressed as the Supreme Spirit or the Brahman. The purest form of consciousness is Paramatma. He is the combination of eternal existence, pure consciousness, and infinite bliss. This combination is also known as Sat Chit Ananda, Satchitananda. When Paramatma is the purest form of consciousness, Atman, an individual soul, is his reflective image. When we talk about creation, it is nothing but his reflective images called souls that get embodied in different shapes and forms. But for this reflective image called soul, no creature can be born. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 22. Purusha prakritis-to hi bhunte prakritir-jhan gunan karanam guna-sanghosya sadasadhyo nijanmasu. The spirit dwelling in this body is really the same as the Supreme. He has been spoken as the witness, guide, sustainer, experience, the Supreme Lord, and the Absolute. Mukthanam paramagatihi. Mukta means all those who are liberated. Mukta can find a way out of bondage through Vishnu. Vishnu is the ultimate goal of all the liberated men. Men have attained liberation by pursuing the right kind of knowledge, otherwise, they could not have been liberated. Among other factors, knowledge and mind play a pivotal role to attain spiritual liberation. Muktas are those who had attained the right kind of knowledge and through which controlled their minds and attained emancipation. This Nama says that Mukta have attained liberation by being devout to him. During the transitional stage from Dvaita to Advaita, one is still associated with names of gods and goddesses. Only in the highest stage of Advaita, names and forms of gods and goddesses get dissolved into the self-illuminating Brahman. Spiritual pursuit should be gradual and steady, and transition has to happen on its own. Mukta, who surrender to the lotus feet of Vishnu, are not born again. Krishna says 8:15 Bhagavad Gita, Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayamashashvatam नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः. Great souls who have attained the highest perfection, having come to me, are no more subject to rebirth. Avyayah. Avyayah. Brahman is beyond modification. He is eternal. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4:4-25 says, birthless Brahman is non-decaying and immortal. This also proves the point that the Brahman is not born. When there is birth, there has to be death. In the initial stages of spiritual pursuit, this is the significant factor that differentiates the Brahman from other beings. Any object can be recognized by ordinary means, that is, the senses. Brahman can be realized only through negations and affirmations. When one stops identifying other things, identity with the Brahman begins to dawn. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Wheeled by my yoga maya, I am not manifest to all. Hence, these ignorant men fail to recognize me, the unborn and imperishable Supreme. Yoga maya is the divine potency by which the Brahman conceals himself. Purushaha, the one who resides in a body. Pura means a fort. Body is compared to a fort. 9 openings in the body are the 9 gates. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 says, Navadvare Pure. The 9 openings in the body are a pair of eyes, pair of ears, pair of nostrils, mouth, organs of procreation, and excretion. Purusha refers to the individual soul. Soul, by remaining within the fort, rules the fort. Purusha is often used in Samkhya philosophy, and Bhagavad Gita is based on this. As per Samkhya philosophy, The existence is based on 25 principles or tattvas, out of which Purusha is the foremost. Purusha is the conscious spirit which only acts as a witness. They are passive and non productive. There are a number of such Purushas, also known as souls. What is called as Purusha in Samkhya philosophy is known as Atman in Vedanta. The fact is, whether we call it as Atman or Purusha, it is indispensable factor in the creation of life. Sakshi. What does the Purusha do by remaining within? He not only rules, he also acts as a witness without partaking in any of the activities done by the embodied mind and body. Purusha, seated within, is the purest form of consciousness and is not affected by any of the acts of the mind and body, nor does it induce the mind and body to act in a particular way. Krishna also confirms this by saying, Aham Sakshi, meaning, I am the witness. One's action unfolds mainly due to one's karmas, vasanas, or unfulfilled desires in previous births, and samskaras, impressions of previous births in the subconscious mind. Brahman or Purusha does not make a person to act. Hence, Purusha is said to be a witness. But without he being present within, no action is possible. He is like subtle electricity burning a gross electrical lamp. Kshetrajnokshara. Kshetrajnaha. Kshetra is the gross body and Kshetrajna is the soul. Chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita is completely devoted to the discussion of Kshetrajna and Kshetra. All these names are distinguishing the Brahman from all the other existences. This Nama endorses the essence conveyed through the previous names. This does not mean that Vishnu Sahasranama is propagating Dvaita philosophy. The recitation of the Sahasranama makes a person to advance in spirituality by enabling him to understand all the essential factors of spirituality in the very beginning. By the time a devotee recites the final Nama, he is ready for liberation. Hence, it is important to understand the meaning of every Nama. Krishna explains the difference between Kshetrajna and Kshetra. The body is termed as the field or Kshetra, and the one who is the knower of the field is Kshetrajna. In other words, matter is Kshetra, and soul functioning through it is Kshetrajna. Know myself to be Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. Krishna completes this chapter by saying, Kshetra Kshetrajnayorevam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakritir Mokshancha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. Those who perceive with wisdom the difference between Kshetrajna and Kshetra attain liberation. Aksharaha, the imperishable. That is the last Nama in chapter 2. Akshara. The Brahman is imperishable and he alone is imperishable. The whole universe is made of Ksharaha and Aksharaha, or perishable and the imperishable. This Nama is not merely an endorsement of the previous Nama, but also affirms that there is no difference between Kshetrajna, the individual soul, and Akshara, the Brahman. Kshetrajna means the individual soul, and Akshara means the Supreme Self, the Brahman. In reality, there is absolutely no difference between the two. If you are a drop of ocean or drop of water in this mighty ocean, and you are part of the ocean, and you perceive yourself as the part of this mighty ocean, you can never ever be destroyed. Now, this whole second chapter comes to life when you chant and memorize. Bhutatma Paramatma Cha Muktanam Paramagatihi Avyayah Purushah Sakshi Kshetrajño Kshara Evacha.